Christmas has always been my favorite time of year, not in the superficial, commercial sense, but because of the feeling, that soft quietness in the world when snow falls, that glow of lights in winter windows, the comfort of knowing you're ending the year with the person who matters most. For 10 years, that person was Daniel. When we met, we were both 24, broke, ambitious, hopeful. We talked for hours in a dingy cafe with flickering lights and terrible music. He laughed at everything I said, even my bad jokes. He told me I had eyes like winter sunsets, which made no sense but melted me anyway. 10 years, a decade of holidays, birthdays, road trips, late-night confessions, stupid fights, loud reconciliations, and shared dreams. I thought time made us stronger. I didn't know time could also make you blind. The December when everything unraveled started like any other. I decorated the house with too many garlands. Daniel complained about me drowning us in Christmas spirit, but he did it with that smirk I loved. We bought hot chocolate from the same stand downtown, from the same old lady who never remembered our names but always recognized our faces. He kissed my forehead in line. He held my hand as we walked. He talked about how next Christmas would be even bigger. I didn't realize he was building a future in his words while quietly destroying the one we already had. When he told me about the business trip, a 2-day conference in Denver, starting December 22nd, I wasn't thrilled, but I wasn't upset. Just bad timing, I said. I'll be back Christmas Eve morning, he promised. We'll spend the whole day together. He kissed me. I believed him. I wish I could go back and shake myself. Claire had been in my life for years, not my best friend, but close enough. Someone who crashed on my couch when she broke up with her boyfriend. Someone I invited to holidays when she had nowhere else to go. Someone who knew the details of my relationship, our struggles, our triumphs, our plans to try for a baby next year. She was the kind of friend who always seemed a little too interested in the lives of others. But I told myself she was just lonely. She and Daniel got along fine. I never once suspected the way she looked at him, the way her eyes lingered a little too long when he spoke, the way she laughed a little too hard at his jokes. I trusted them both. God, I trusted both of them. Daniel left early December 22nd. He kissed me twice at the door. His suitcase looked heavier than usual. I remember that now. Back then, I didn't think anything of it. I'll call you tonight, he said. Bring me back a snow globe. I joked. We laughed. He got into the Uber. I watched it disappear down the street, the taillights fading into morning fog. I didn't know the truth was already unfolding. He didn't call that night. He sent a text instead. Long day. Exhausted. Early morning tomorrow. Love you. Short, cold, unlike him. I tried calling. No answer. I told myself he was tired. I told myself conferences were draining. I told myself not to be needy, not to be dramatic, not to be that girlfriend. The lie tasted bitter even then. He was supposed to land at 9:10 a.m. I planned everything: breakfast, hot cocoa, a cheesy Christmas movie marathon, the works. But 9:10 turned to 9:30, then 10. Then 11. At noon he texted, flight delayed. I'll explain later. Just hang tight. No calls, no check-ins, no photos of the airport, no updates, nothing, just silence and an excuse that felt empty. I felt the first crack of dread in my ribs. At 1:47 p.m., someone knocked. When I opened the door, I expected Daniel. Instead, I found Claire, my friend, the woman I'd spent years confiding in. Her makeup was smudged. Her eyes were puffy. Her hair looked like she'd run her hands through it 1,000 times. She held her phone tightly, knuckles white. "Hey," she said. "Claire?" What's wrong? Why are you? I need to talk to you. Her voice broke on the last word, and instantly, everything inside me went cold. Snow was falling outside in soft flakes. Inside, my world was starting to collapse. Come in, I whispered. She stepped inside, trembling, and then she said words I will never forget. He wasn't in Denver. My heartbeat stopped. What? She wiped her eyes, took a shaking breath, then held out her phone. I didn't want to tell you. I swear I didn't. But I can't live with it anymore. On her screen was a video, grainy, quick, but unmistakable. Daniel, walking into a hotel, with someone, not a coworker, not a stranger, her, Claire. I stumbled back like she'd struck me. You? I whispered, Claire. It was you? She broke completely then. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to. I didn't want to hurt you. But she'd shattered me. They spent 2 nights together, December 22nd, December 23rd. While I sat at home wrapping presents for him, he was unwrapping her. While I planned Christmas morning with the man I loved, he was waking up in another woman's bed, my friend's bed, or rather, the hotel bed they shared. Claire confessed everything. They'd been texting for weeks, flirting behind my back. It just escalated. He planned the trip as an excuse. They didn't use protection. She thought he might leave me for her. He told her he loved her. Every sentence cracked another piece of me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even cry. I felt numb, like my body wasn't mine. Claire tried to touch my arm. I jerked away like she was poison. Get out, I said quietly. She shook her head. Please, just listen, get out. Her face crumpled. She backed toward the door. She tried to say she was sorry again. I slammed the door in her face. Then I fell to the floor, and I screamed. Daniel finally called me at 3:22 p.m. Hey, he said, pretending everything was normal. Boarding now. I'll be home soon. Were you ever in Denver? I asked. Silence, a dangerous, heavy silence. Why would you? Daniel. My voice shook, but I didn't yell. Were you in Denver? Another long pause, then a broken sigh. No, I felt something in me die. Where were you? Please. Please let me explain when I get home. Tell me. I'm sorry, he whispered, and that was it. Not a story, not an excuse, not a moment of honesty, just a sorry that meant nothing. Daniel finally called me at 3:22 p.m. Hey, he said, pretending everything was normal. Boarding now. I'll be home soon. Were you ever in Denver? I asked. Silence, a dangerous, heavy silence. Why would you? Daniel. My voice shook, but I didn't yell. Were you in Denver? Another long pause, then a broken sigh. No, I felt something in me die. Where were you? Please. Please let me explain when I get home. Tell me. I'm sorry, he whispered, and that was it. Not a story, not an excuse, not a moment of honesty, just a sorry that meant nothing. It wasn't the cheating, not entirely. It was the choice. He left me alone for Christmas. He lied easily. He betrayed me with someone I trusted. He made memories with another woman while I waited like a fool. But the worst part? He didn't even fight for me. When I told him to leave, he didn't beg. He didn't shout. He didn't explain beyond vague excuses and half-truths. He just asked, "Can we talk tomorrow?" Tomorrow, like I was a chore he could schedule. I told him, "Get out." So he did, and Christmas became the night everything I believed in died. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them, my husband and my best friend, standing too close, whispering, laughing with that easy familiarity that used to belong only to me. The image of his hand on her back, of her leaning toward him as if she had every right to touch what was mine, replayed in a loop that burned behind my eyelids. By the time the first sliver of gray morning light crept through the curtains, my pillow was damp, and my chest felt bruised from the weight of all the thoughts I couldn't stop. I needed answers. But more than that, I needed the truth spoken aloud. I needed him to admit what I already feared, so I could stop gaslighting myself. When Ethan came home from his morning run, a new habit he'd picked up exactly around the time his work travel became more frequent, he looked refreshed, energized. His cheeks were flushed from the cold, and he smiled when he saw me sitting on the sofa. "Morning, babe. You're up early." My stomach twisted, because looking at him, this man I once trusted more than anyone, felt like observing a stranger wearing Ethan's skin. "Sit," I said quietly. His smile faded. "What's wrong?" "I want to talk about your trip." He hesitated. That was new. Ethan never hesitated. He always had an answer ready, always smooth, always calm. But at that moment, something flickered across his face, like panic quickly shoved back into the shadows. "My trip?" He repeated, "Yes." I gestured to the couch across from me. "Saturday night. Where were you after the conference ended?" He blinked, then laughed. Actually laughed. "You're asking me for details? What, do you think I went clubbing or something?" He walked into the kitchen, grabbed a glass, and poured himself water. "We went out with the team." "I told you." "Who's we?" "You know, my colleagues. Oliver, James, the usual team." "And Laura?" I asked. The glass slipped in his hand. Not enough to drop it, but just enough for the water to slosh. He turned slowly. "Laura?" His expression hardened. "Why would she be there?" "Because," I said softly, holding his gaze even though my throat felt tight, "I saw her." He froze. It was small, almost imperceptible, but it was there. The tiny shift in his posture, the way his jaw tightened, the way his eyes narrowed just enough. "What are you talking about?" He said, too slowly, "I saw a picture of you with her. Saturday night. You were still out hours after you told me you were back in your hotel." His face drained of color. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The house felt too quiet, as if it was holding its breath. Finally, Ethan set the glass down with exaggerated calm. "That's ridiculous," he said. "Someone must have taken an old photo. Or it's a misunderstanding. Don't lie to me." My voice cracked. "Please, Ethan. Not again." "I'm not lying," he snapped. "Then tell me why she was there," I pressed. "Tell me why you didn't mention her. Tell me why you told me you were in your hotel when you were clearly." "Stop." His tone became sharp enough to cut. "You're overreacting, okay? You're making something out of nothing. You know how you get." There it was, the classic turn, make me doubt myself. I felt my nails dig into my palms. "Did you sleep with her?" I demanded. He flinched. Not much, but enough. Jesus, Lily, he whispered, running a hand through his hair. No. Of course not. Why would you even think that? Because I trusted you, I said. And now everything feels wrong. Everything feels off. And you're not even trying to reassure me. You're just trying to prove I'm crazy. He stared at me for a long moment, then shook his head. I'm not doing this, he muttered. I'm not having another fight right before Christmas. I have work. I need to shower. He turned to walk away, but I wasn't done. This isn't a fight, I said. This is me begging you to tell me the truth. He paused at the doorway. And without looking back, he said, there is no truth except the one you invent. And then he left. For the rest of the morning, my mind felt like a carousel I couldn't get off. If he had nothing to hide, why did he react like that? Why did he shut down instead of answering? Why was Laura's name treated like a landmine? I paced the kitchen until I wore down the edge of the rug. I reread the message from my coworker who accidentally sent me the photo. I stared at the screen until the pixels blurred. They weren't just standing together. They were close, too close, and worse, the look on Ethan's face. I knew that smile. I knew that exact expression. It was the smile he used to reserve only for me. Back when our love was new and everything he felt for me was written openly in his eyes. Now that expression was caught in a candid photo with another woman, my friend. I swallowed hard. I knew what I had to do. I dialed Laura. She didn't pick up. Not the first time. Not the second time. Not the third. Which was strange, because Laura never ignored my calls. I tried again an hour later. Still nothing. By noon, I was sitting on the floor in the hallway, staring at my phone with shaking hands. When the doorbell rang, I opened the door to find Laura standing there. Her hair was messy, her face pale, and for someone who usually dressed like she was always camera ready, she looked unprepared. Unsteady. Hey, she said quietly. You called? I didn't invite her in right away. I didn't smile. She shifted uncomfortably. Is everything okay? No, I said. Why were you in Chicago with Ethan? Her eyes widened, but not with confusion, with fear. Lily, she whispered, please. Can't we talk inside? Just answer the question. She swallowed, looked over her shoulder as if the street was suddenly dangerous, then stepped inside without waiting for permission. When the door closed behind her, she leaned against it and pressed her palms to her face. I didn't want you to find out like this, she whispered. The room tilted around me. Find out what? My voice trembled. Laura. Find out what? She sank onto the sofa, her legs actually buckled, and then she said the words that cracked my world clean in half. Ethan didn't just cheat on you with me. It wasn't the first time. I stood there, unable to move. Unable to breathe. She looked up at me with tears pooling in her eyes. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. You. My voice was barely a sound. You slept with my husband? She closed her eyes. Yes. When? How long? How many times? My questions tumbled out like stones rolling down a cliff. She cried harder. It started months ago, she choked. The work trip in August. That's when we crossed the line. I felt something inside me tear, and you didn't tell me, I said. You saw me every week. You came to my house. You hugged me. You ate at my table. You looked me in the eyes and said nothing. I know, she whispered. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know what I did was unforgivable. I backed away from her as if she were fire. How long? I repeated, my voice rising. How many months? 5, she whispered. Almost 6. 6 months. Half a year of lies, half a year of betrayal woven into the very fabric of my everyday life. How did it happen? I demanded. She wiped her face. We were working late. We were both stressed. We talked about marriage, life, everything. It just, don't you dare say it, just happened. She flinched. I know. You're right. I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you what led to it. We both said it was a mistake. We said it wouldn't happen again. And then it did. And then it kept happening. My mouth felt dry, my hands felt numb, and Chicago? I forced out. Was that planned? She shook her head. No. He didn't know I'd be there. But when he found out, we ended up. Stop. My voice cracked open. Stop. I can't hear the details. She nodded weakly. Silence filled the room, heavy, suffocating. Finally, I whispered, why are you telling me this now? She looked at me with the hollow eyes of someone who'd been carrying a weight too heavy for too long. Because he told me he's ending it, she said. He said he was choosing you. I stared at her. He said he was choosing me. I repeated, yes. And I couldn't live with the lie anymore. I needed you to know the truth before he twisted it. Before he painted me as the only villain. We were both involved. I won't pretend I'm innocent. But I won't let him manipulate the story either. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because the alternative was screaming. You want credit, I said. For confessing. For telling me first. No, she whispered. I want forgiveness someday. But I know I won't get it today. You won't get it ever. Her face crumpled. I know. I walked to the door and opened it. Get out. She didn't argue. She just nodded, wiped her eyes, and stepped outside. And before she walked away, she whispered, he still loves you, Lily. I know that doesn't make any of this better. But it's the truth. I closed the door behind her and collapsed to the floor. My entire world, my marriage, my friendships, my sense of reality, lay shattered around me like glass. When Ethan came home that evening, everything in me felt like it had been scraped raw. He walked through the door humming a Christmas song, carrying takeout, acting like we were two normal people living a normal life in a normal marriage. Hey, he said, smiling. I got that pasta you like, sit down. He froze when he saw my face, his eyes flicked to the closed curtains, the untouched glass of water on the table. The tension hanging in the room like a storm that hadn't yet broken. What happened? He asked carefully. I talked to Laura. His entire body went still, then his voice dropped to a low, warning tone. What did she tell you? I stared at him, the fact that his first instinct wasn't to deny, but to control the narrative. That told me everything I needed to know. She told me everything, I said. The months. The trips. The lies. All of it. A muscle jumped in his jaw. Lily, he said slowly, you need to understand. No, I interrupted. You need to understand. You were cheating on me for half a year. With my best friend. You lied every day. You let her into our home while you were sleeping with her behind my back. You let me think I was losing my mind. He opened his mouth, but I kept talking. You didn't just betray me, I said. You humiliated me. He took a step toward me. Lily, don't, I said sharply. Don't come closer. He froze, and for a moment, I saw panic, real panic, fill his eyes. I ended it, he whispered. I ended it because I love you. Because I want you. Because I realized none of that meant anything compared to you. I felt my heart splinter. You ended it because you were scared she'd tell me, I said. He didn't respond. Silence confirmed what words couldn't. I took a long, shaky breath. This marriage, I whispered, is over. His face collapsed. No. No, it's not. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can start over. I'll do anything. I shook my head. You already did everything. Ethan didn't accept the word over, not at first. Not even close. He followed me into the kitchen, into the hallway, into the living room, as if proximity alone could glue together the pieces he'd shattered. Lily, you're reacting out of shock, he said, his voice trembling. You don't mean this. You just need time, don't tell me what I need. He flinched as if I'd slapped him. Please, he whispered. We've built a life together. Don't throw it away because of what? I snapped. Because of a mistake. Because you slipped. Because you were confused. Ethan, this wasn't a one-time thing. You weren't drunk or lonely or temporarily stupid. You woke up every morning for 6 months and chose to betray me. He looked away. I think that was the first moment he truly understood that he might lose me. Let me explain. He tried again. I don't want explanations, I said. I want accountability. His throat bobbed. Then let me be accountable, he said softly. Tell me what to do, and I'll do it. Tell me how to earn you back. My chest squeezed painfully. You can't, I whispered. Some things can't be undone. We didn't sleep in the same room that night, not the next night either, or the one after that. For 2 weeks, we lived like ghosts in the same house, passing each other like two shadows cast on opposite walls. Ethan tried everything to get my attention. Flowers on the counter, handwritten letters left on my pillow, long messages begging, apologizing, bargaining. Some were angry, some were desperate, some were heartbreakingly tender, but none changed what I knew. He had destroyed something sacred, something once so strong I thought nothing could break it. And he had done it not in a single moment of weakness but in a series of deliberate choices. One evening, he knocked softly on the door as I was packing a suitcase. What are you doing? He asked, his voice cracking. I'm leaving for a while. I need space. He leaned against the doorframe, exhausted, his face unshaven, his eyes red from too many sleepless nights. Where will you go? My sister's. He nodded, pain flashing across his features. Are you coming back? I don't know. He inhaled sharply, as if the air itself had become too heavy. Lily. Please don't let this be the ending. I zipped the suitcase. It already is. He shut his eyes, his chest rising and falling in uneven breaths. Can I at least help you carry your bags? No, I softened my voice. No, Ethan. You don't get to help me leave you. He swallowed hard and stepped aside. My sister, Hannah, didn't ask questions. She just hugged me when I arrived and said, "You're home. Whatever you need, we'll figure it out." For the first few days, I barely spoke. I drifted through the hours like a passenger in my own life, watching myself from a distance. Hannah cooked for me. She made tea I didn't drink. She sat with me even when I had nothing to say. She reminded me to breathe. It was the first time in months I felt safe, but the silence between me and Ethan kept growing, like a canyon widening each day. He sent messages I didn't answer. He left voicemails I didn't listen to. He emailed long confessions I deleted without opening. I needed the noise of him to fade. I needed distance to hear my own thoughts. Then, on the 5th night at my sister's house, he showed up. Hannah opened the door. I heard her gasp, "Ethan? What are you? Is she here?" He asked. His voice sounded wrecked, frayed at the edges. I stepped into the hallway. He looked terrible, hair messy, eyes sunken, clothes wrinkled, a man unraveling. "Please," he whispered. "Just 5 minutes." Hannah glanced at me. "It's okay," I said. She walked away reluctantly, watching him like a hawk until she turned the corner. Ethan stepped into the living room but didn't come any closer. He stayed near the door, as if afraid that crossing some invisible line would cause me to run. "I've been thinking," he said quietly. "About us. About everything. And I know you won't believe me, but what happened with Laura? It wasn't about you. It wasn't about replacing you. It wasn't, don't justify it," I said. "Just say what you came to say." He closed his eyes. After a long moment, he whispered, "I'm ready to let you go if that's what you want." My breath caught. It was the first time he said it, the first time he didn't fight, the first time he didn't beg. "What changed?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He opened his eyes, and I saw the truth staring back at me: grief, regret, self-awareness forced by pain. "I realized that loving someone sometimes means accepting their choice," he said. "Even if that choice breaks you." I sat down slowly, feeling my knees shake. He continued, "And I also realized something else. If you stay with me out of pity or fear or guilt, that would be worse than losing you." A tear slipped down my cheek. He stepped forward, but stopped himself. "I want to tell you what happened," he said. "The real version. Not the excuses. Not the story I told myself to sleep at night." I braced myself. He swallowed hard. "It started because I felt invisible." The words hung in the air like smoke. "But that's not your fault," he added quickly. "You did nothing wrong. I was the one who shut down. I was the one who stopped talking. I was the one who convinced myself that you didn't need me anymore. And instead of fixing things with you, I went looking for validation from someone else." He exhaled shakily. "I chose the coward's path." I stared at him through tears. "And Laura?" I whispered. She admired me," he said, shame coloring his voice. "She made me feel appreciated. Desired. It fed something in me I didn't realize was starving." He shook his head. "But that doesn't excuse what I did." I should have come to you. I should have told you I was drowning instead of grabbing the wrong hand to pull me out. He wiped his eyes. I broke us. And I'll carry that for the rest of my life. Silence settled between us, heavy, but honest. I nodded slowly. Thank you for telling me the truth. His voice cracked when he whispered, does it change anything? I hesitated. It changes how I see the past, I said. But it doesn't fix the future. He swallowed. I thought so. Another long silence. Then he turned toward the door. I'll leave you alone now, he said. I won't contact you again unless you reach out first. He opened the door halfway, but before he walked out, he looked back and whispered, you were the best thing in my life, Lily. And I'm sorry I didn't realize it until I destroyed everything. Then he left, and I broke. The days blurred. Christmas passed quietly. No traditions, no celebrations, no lights. Just me, my sister, and the quiet understanding that some holidays are heavy. Friends reached out. Some offered comfort. Some offered gossip. I ignored most of them, except one message. From someone I didn't expect, Laura. Her text was long, apologetic, exhausted. She said she had moved to another city for work. She said she understood if I never spoke to her again. She said she was in therapy trying to understand why she hurt the woman she loved like a sister. I didn't reply, not because I wanted to punish her, but because forgiveness requires peace, and I wasn't there yet. One evening, Hannah found me sitting alone on the back porch, wrapped in a blanket. She sat beside me. Do you still love him? She asked gently. I didn't answer right away. The truth wasn't simple. I love who he was, I said, and I love who we used to be. But him now? She asked. I stared at the snow outside, the untouched blanket of white. I don't know anymore. She took my hand. You don't have to know today. 3 weeks after he left my sister's house, I received a package, no return address. But I recognized the handwriting instantly. Inside was a thick envelope and a small velvet box. My heart pounded as I opened the envelope first. Inside was a letter, longer than any letter he'd ever written during our whole relationship. It began simply, Lily, this isn't a plea. It's a goodbye. I sat down. My hands trembled. He wrote about everything. Our early years, our laughter, our inside jokes, the way he felt when he first realized he was in love with me. Then he wrote about the affair, how it started, how it escalated, how he justified it to himself, how he hated himself afterward. How he kept trying to end it but lacked the strength, how he finally snapped awake one morning and realized he'd become a version of himself he never wanted to be. He wrote, I don't expect forgiveness. But I want you to know that loving you was the best part of my life. Losing you is the punishment I earned. At the bottom was one final line. Please find someone who will treat your heart the way it deserves. My breath caught. Then I opened the velvet box. Inside was my wedding ring, and below it, a small silver key. A note beneath it read, for when you're ready to pick up the rest of your things. I won't be there. I can't keep hurting you. Tears blurred my vision. It was over, truly over now. The next morning, I drove back to his house. It felt strange walking through the door. Everything was familiar yet foreign, like stepping into a place I once knew but now only vaguely remembered. There were no photos of us anymore, no signs of me in the closets, no lingering warmth. It didn't feel like home. It felt like a life I'd already left. I packed my things slowly, thoughtfully. Not with sadness, but with a strange sense of closure. When I was done, I walked through the empty living room and whispered into the stillness, goodbye. I locked the door behind me and drove away. I didn't look back. Healing didn't happen overnight, or in a month, or even in 3. Grief comes in waves, so does strength. Some mornings, I woke up feeling like myself again. Other mornings, I had to remind myself to breathe. But little by little, I rebuilt. I started writing again. I went on long walks. I spent more time with my sister. I took a solo trip to the mountains. I found pieces of myself in places I'd forgotten to look. And eventually, the pain stopped being a wound, and became a scar, a reminder, not a definition. One day in early spring, I woke up to sunlight streaming through the curtains in my new apartment and realized I felt happy, not euphoric, not overwhelmed, just quietly, peacefully happy. That was the moment I knew I had survived, and I had become someone stronger than the woman who once held her marriage together with hope and denial. This wasn't the life I planned, but it was the life I earned.